Hello everybody, this is my live stream, streaming all the way from Italy. Greetings to you and all my fans around the world. Today I want to talk about hair. There are different type of hairs people have all over the world, and particularly the most interesting one is the Afro. A lot of misconception about the Afro hair, how to take care of your hair, and what makes up or constitute your hair. So today I just want to discuss briefly about hair type and hair textures. These are two different things entirely. So we are going to see them, and then we can now make a comparison and then see where we fit in and how it will be beneficial to us. So I want to first of all start by saying that when you travel to other countries, you will find people with different hair types. For instance, when I left my country, I came to Europe, I understood that the hair texture here in Europe is a bit different from that in Africa. And there are little understanding about hair texture of the Afro type and how to take care of it. It's very difficult for Africans in Europe and diaspora and in America to go to a salon run by maybe Europeans or white people, because they may not know how to handle your hair. And other countries, even like China, South Korea, it's very few people that knows how to handle the Afro hair. The Afro hair poses a lot of challenges, and I want to dispel certain myth about the Afro hair, why the African plait hair, just as I do, and the implication for the cosmetic industries. And because we know that a lot of people want to make money, they may tend to discourage your culture and decided to sell their shampoo. But I think it is high time to embrace all kind of culture, all kind of method to take care of hairs of different type of races and what they have built on over the centuries. So let me just start by showing you something very, very interesting about, I will start with hair types first so that we can get more clarity about what it is. Now, when you look at this, you could see like we have different type of hair types here. So I'm going to show you the implication and what it means, and how we can understand and make meaning out of it. First of all, let's go to this chart here, which I find on this website, afrochickbeauty.com. I have to reference it for you. You could see that we have 4 types of hair. And from the look of this diagram that you are seeing here, we are talking about type. And type has to do with just the visual, appearance of the hair. We are not talking of this texture for now. So the first one, as you can see, is a very straight hair. The second one, it's a bit coily and a bit wavy. Let me put that. From 3 to 4, you could see coils and a different level of coils. You understand? So you could see that most Europeans tends to fall between type 1 to type 2, and African mostly type 4 and also type 3. But in between, type 3 to type 4 here, you could see different texture of coil. 3A is the least, 3B is more coily, 3C is more wavy, as you can see. But when you get to 4, which is the predominant one in countries like Nigeria, let's go down to the chart here. So let's say 4A hair type, you could say it's more condensed a bit. The coil pattern type A has coil similar to number 3. Wow, that's very interesting, similar to number 3. Regarding its textures, type 4 hair has quite soft feel. It's not taken care of. This hair strand can break easily. Type 4 hair tends to have high porosity. Let's use the word porosity. Porosity is the ability of water to percolate or penetrate or flow or air or whatever to pass through your hair, because you know the coils get entangled. So what they are saying of high porosity, that means the coils are not compact. Unlike you could see type 4B is more compact a little, but it's still porous than type 4C. You could see this is the most compact, as you can see here. So what did they say of type 4C? It is tight, densely packed coils. The hair has quite a kinky texture that appears dense. You know, when I was growing up in Nigeria, and you know, some ladies that have this kind of thick, tightly packed hair, and when they try to leave it to grow, it become more like, sometimes we make fun, become more like a forest. It gives you the appearance of, you know, density, just as you could see what happened to this lady's hair. So this is a problem when it comes to how to take care of it by the Europeans. They have little understanding of the Afro hair. The Asians have little understanding, and this problem translates to mixed marriage when you are married to people outside your race as an African, and they want to take care of your baby's hair. If you mix marriage, maybe African Asian, they began to struggle because the hair texture is, the hair type is quite different from theirs, and they have no clue on what to do. So let me begin to explain certain things about the Afro hair. In the first instance, let me say that the Afro hair is this. The Afro hair is not straight, it's coily. So it is like a spring. The Afro hair have a springy effect. So it is very deceptive in that you might look an Afro hair to be like this, but when it is stretched, it could become like this. And this is the problem in the barbing salon, because when you go to the barbing salon, what the European does is they will just comb their hair, those hair that are type 1 or 2, they will just put a comb, they will comb it up, you understand? Sometimes they will hold it and then cut it with a scissors. They call it trimming. You understand? You just trim neatly, 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 neatly. Their hair is more, you know, sometimes they may make it to sleep, stretch it just a little bit with hot comb or whatsoever, and then neatly trim it. But that is not how to barb the Afro hair. So in the Afro hair, the strategy to barb, which a good and professional barber we know, is that since the Afro hair is not uniform, and then just cutting it at combing it once and cutting it is very deceptive, because the hair will not be of different length because they are springy, you understand? So what they do in my country is that you comb the hair you trim it just little little. It's very difficult and it's time consuming, you understand, and you can use clipper, but you go over the hair, you comb it, you go over like the top of the hair, you cut it little little, you comb it, because every time you comb it, the ones that are not well stretched will get stretched. Then you barb just at the top little by little, especially when you don't want to cut it to the skin. If you want to cut it to the skin, it's a different approach. So you understand, it's just like grading a road, gradually peeling off the layer, but continuous combing and trimming, combing, trimming, combing. You do it very systematical, and you always check the, the hair length. And secondly, the problem of the Afro hair is much that when a mixed race, like I have a lady, she gave birth to a mixed race baby, an American lady, so she doesn't know how to take care of the hair. She keep rubbing it with a lot of oil. She said the hair is a little bit difficult. She will put a lot of oil, a lot of chemical. She will try to comb the hair. The hair seems to get straight anytime she does that, but that is the worst thing you could do to an Afro child, because coily hair get entangled, and every time you try to comb it, when it gets dry, the entanglement grows, you understand. Every time you try to comb it, it could be very painful, very very painful. So I could explain the way to comb the hair and why you have to minimize combing it all the time, because it could be very painful. So you don't need the hair naturally don't need so much amount of oil, chemical. It makes children to be uncomfortable. It could bring heat to the hair. It could make them to be easily irritable. And she confessed, when I tried to ask her, I said, my daughter, that's the American lady that have the half mixed race baby, said my daughter hates when I comb her hair. Sometimes she scream and push me off. You understand? Maybe, you know, and some of the, well, I knew of the lady, she have what we call the repetitive syndrome. You like to do something over and over and over. The white likes to be that meticulous, you understand. But the African, we work by oral tradition. We are very good at memorization, and we use, like when we play music, we don't look at book. We use a lot of memory, you understand. So there is systematic way of handling the hair. You don't have to comb it all the time. You don't have to. That's not how to preserve the Afro hair. You have to recognize that after combing it 1 hour, in the next 10 hours, depend. People have different rate. It will get interlocked again. You understand? And leaving oil on the hair to soften it all the time, it could also become very uncomfortable. I want to explain to you what I believe is the strength of the Afro hair. The Afro hair is specifically designed for hot weather, hot climate, because in the tropical and in the equator, like Nigeria is just 4 degrees from the equator, so it's very hot, like the Amazon jungle. It could be very very hot. Sometimes it could be up to 40 something degrees in Nigeria. In fact, throughout the year it is always 27 minimum, sometimes 30, 40 throughout the year, you understand. So, and we experience a lot of sun, so we develop melanin in our skin to resist the sun, and our hair get very coily. And the reason why we get those Afro hair is because of the porosity. When your hair is entangled in coils, it prevents the sun from touching your scalp, and it prevents heat from accumulating. Like the European hair and the Asian hair, it's designed for more like insulation. It generates very hot. I mean, it's like when hair are in straight strand, they tend to slip closely to the skin, you understand, and they act as a buffer and they prevent air, except the hair is flowy or a little bit coily. So, but in the coily pattern, air bubbles accumulate under the porosity. You know, it's not completely closed, it's not completely thick as people imagine. There is some air bubble that are trapped inside the air. So it is insulated from the sun, so it gives you a kind of cooling effect, especially when we take our bath. It is difficult to like dry all the water from your hair, so your hair is a little bit moisture. The African hair, like when I take my bath, I feel the cooling effect of my bath after maybe 3 hours or 4 hours. My head continue to get, I feel the cooling effect, especially when I didn't use the blower or the dryer. My hair keep getting calm, cool, and it is not very good for cold weather like in Europe. Keeping afro hair and not blowing your hair very well when you take your bath, you could freeze because that's the effect of the hair. It gives you the cooling sensation, but it's better in summer to keep afro hair. So these are some of the myths I want to dispel. And why do Africans plait their hair? It has to do with your cultural identity and what you make of your hair over. It's a tradition that have been built over the century, and it has its health benefit. One of the health benefits of plaiting your hair is we let me explain to you. When you want to like comb your hair, you understand, your hair get very interlocked, so it's difficult to comb your hair, you understand. So and you have to like put water on your hair to comb it or whatsoever. So plaiting your hair make you relax from using chemical relaxer, because sometimes we have to relax our hair to make it a little bit more wavy and less entangled, so that it will be easier for us to comb our hair continuously. Because if you don't comb your hair, it becomes dreadlock. At this point, let me just point out something to you quickly before I round up what I'm saying. I want to talk about hair texture. It's very good that I talk about hair texture so that we can balance hair type with hair texture. Let me go back to the browser again. So now when you look at first of all, let me just give you a metal. When you look at hair texture, you find that hair have different thickness and sizes of the thickness of the hair. Hair texture refers to the diameter or thickness of the individual hair strand of hair. It's distinct from hair type, which describe the coil pattern, straight, wavy, coily, or coily. There are three main hair texture: fine, medium, and coarse. Let me explain. A coarse hair is a hair that the diameter of the hair is very thick. I think hair is made up of a chemical called, is it keratin, or I'm sorry, cortical or something of that nature, and it sort of have certain this thing that makes it to stand up straight, you understand. Lack of it can make it to coil, or depends on the strength of work or whatever of your hair, and depend on the mixture of the compound in your hair. So but in when we talk of hair texture, we are talking of the thickness depending on those strands that help to support your hair. A little bit lack of it can make it, and it's not very thick, it can be very fine and soft. So how do we know hair texture? Is not in, you cannot know the thickness of somebody's hair by saying, okay, because this person have an afro hair, it's very coily, therefore it is coarse. That is not what this is talking about. I, for instance, I have an afro hair, but my hair texture is not coarse. Coarse is the strongest, is the thickest hair. When you touch the hair, a coarse hair is somehow strong. It sort of resists your touch. It's like a feeling thing, because I come from a light family, so I have different hair texture. There's one of my sister who has afro hair, and she has a very coarse and very, I think she have Fossey as the most tightly interlocked, and she also have a coarse hair. These are the two extreme. So I could see what happens to her hair when she tried to comb it. She could scream. It is very painful. It's one of the most painful sensation when such kind of people try to keep plenty hair. As a lady, she have to use relaxer, and in for the afro hair, there are three type of relaxer strength we use. There is super relaxer, which is, you know, very strong, and there is regular, and there is, you know, a relaxer that is fine. It's not, the strength is very weak. Super is very strong, normal relaxer or regular relaxer, and then the one that is very weak. Like for my hair texture, I can't use super relaxer. It will just like fry my hair or burn it. It becomes red immediately. So, but for the coarse hair, like the one my sister have, and it's also very thick and not easy. So you have to use super relaxer, maybe for like 10 minutes. You understand? Those hair can withstand high, you know, the strength of the relaxer. I think the relaxer contain a compound called hydro, um, just like, it's just like ozone, but it's like it burns your hair. You understand? But it's also very, it's not over my years. A relaxer is not very harmful to the hair, although it can give you the burning sensation. But when you relax the afro hair, it's very helpful because relaxer contain high amount of oxygen, and that is why your hair start growing rapidly. But what is more harmful to the hair are other chemicals, a lot of oil, a lot of shampoo, a lot of, if you destroy your acid stroke alkaline balance in your hair, it could be very um, painful. So these are the three type of hair. So my fall under the fine. My have is very soft, like a child's hair. I call mine like baby hair. You understand? And in the baby hair, it poses its own problem. We cannot use a relaxer on our hair. It's already too soft. If I bait now, my hair becomes coily, almost depends. It's easy to stretch, you understand? So I can only use the fine relaxer, which is the mildest. And that one, you can leave it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes on your hair because the power is not much. That is the one that is most suitable for my hair, if I thought. I don't even use that, but sometimes if I really need to use it, that is the one I currently have. I have it somewhere in my box here, just in case I need it, you understand? And the normal one, I can also use that one, but I should be careful. It doesn't at most exceed 10 minutes because it's very strong. But for the super, I just cannot use it on my hair. The day I tried it, I was in deep agony because it quickly like burned got my hair burnt. So these are the three type of hair texture we have. In between, some could be fine, some could be medium, maybe medium to fine, medium to coarse. So these are the hair, and it have to do with the thickness of the hair. So I want to say that when we understand the strategy of maintaining a hair and why we plait our hair mostly to, you know, to make it relax. We don't have to bother about putting on chemical. Some people complain they have white hair, and that's the more reason for you to plait, because when you plait, like, most of this hair is not visible. You could see it's not visible, it is in a lock, and sometimes they can use an attachment, hair attachment, mix it up with your hair. It's important because it can hide the true color of your hair, and depend on the attachment may have similar color to your hair. It could be gold, it could be to, like, the Africans have a way of mixing the right color and to completely eliminate your gray hair. Your gray hair can only be seen slightly from the scalp, just slightly, but it's not too conspicuous, and you could put on a cap or whatever decoration and leave your lock flowing, and it takes like 1 or 2 months before you lose your plaited hair. Depends on how long you want it to be, especially when you take care of it. If you don't take care of it properly, it could fall apart. You don't have to be touching it all the time because this is plaited. Something can go wrong, it can lose, and if you leave it more than 2 months, it could become dreadlocked. So, and your hair could become permanently entangled. So thank you for listening to my broadcast. I will stop here.